Nope, does not Gerwalk. Someone call Harmony Gold. There's a new Jetfire toy on the market. Well, it's a very strange market. It's somewhere in South Korea and maybe in South America by now, but it's somewhere. It's somewhere in the world, and right now one of them is sitting on my review table. Once again, it's the Cyber series, Cyber Battalion Jetfire. Another one of those mysterious new second wave figures in a line everyone thought was dead because it's been out for like 2 years and only 6 toys ever existed. But here we go, we've got another one, and I like to bring you these little mysteries of the Transformers universe from time to time. We are looking at a very basic representation of Jetfire's standard Valkyrie jet mode, and looking quite good, if a little bit slipshot here and there. Of course, this is the first remold that we have had in the line. It's rather than just borrowing engineering, it is properly taken from an existing figure. In this case, it's a remold of Starscream, and I'll go ahead and give you the side-by-side so you can see there's actually quite a bit changed up on this toy. The entirety of the front section and even the wing department of the jet modes are completely different. Completely new wings, completely new cockpit, completely new everything except for the very tip of the nose cone and the rear section where the legs are going to form up. That's the same parts. But everything else is pretty much redone. Now we're going to get more of Starscream's bits and bobs once we get to robot mode. But for now, it's a far more decent job of remolding the toy than I would have honestly expected out of a line like this, considering it's supposed to be cheapo. They actually went through a lot of effort to make that toy into Jetfire. I kind of like the idea that they just flattened out his traditional fast packs into this big red engine section. It's a weird way of cheaping out on that detail, but it gets the visual across, and I think that's the important thing to something like this. So aside from that, he is cast in a very bright shade of white plastic. A little bit of red plastic showing through, but we'll get to that in robot mode. For now, very stark contrast to, the darker shades of Starscream. Very much the Autobot jet. I've always really liked Jetfire's look. I mean, white and red are just heroic looking, I think. I like the blue cockpit, too. It does a better job than Starscream did painting along the lines of the cockpit's windows. So you actually get a lot of different detailing, and it looks quite a bit better. Also, a little bit of silver here on the intakes, which is a nice detail to have. Sculpting all throughout this guy. You can see all the little fins and everything that are molded in for the wings, for the fast packs, and the engines. Quite a bit of detail for something that's supposed to be made on the cheap. Now, there's a few interesting features to this. For starters, they actually redesigned the wings so that they have multiple tab-ins, which means when you want to have Jetfire in his jet mode, you can adjust the wings to different widths, and then they peg right back into the arms where they started. Meaning you can have his wings straight out like you've seen in this review so far, or this stupid tab will actually find the slot that it's supposed to fit in and not embarrass me on camera and make this review take a lot longer than it should, because this is a stupid little cheapo toy and it shouldn't take this. There we go. So yeah, you can have it sleek back, looking much faster this way. I like that. I like the extra attention to detail. Also, when it's like this, you'll find these little peg holes can now mount his guns, which when they're like splayed out like that, these holes don't really properly align to get the guns pointed forward, which is kind of a downside to the toy's design. But then again, these holes really do not fit the wings very well at all. Like they're very loose and they come off quite easily, which is unfortunate. So if you want to mount the guns, I usually mount them here, where it gives you still another different look from Starscream, or I kind of mount them up here in the screw hole. Whoa! Or we can mount them up in the screw holes as well, if we're not dropping them on the floor. So that's a little bit better, and this kind of gives you that look of the fast pack a little bit more. So you got some play options here, and play options on these are surprising to find. Alright, so jet mode is more or less fine. You know, he's even kind of sleek now, which is kind of nice. So let's try to get this guy into robot mode, and we'll see what we can really do here. So I'm just going to start by giving the wings a good fold over. That frees up the arms completely. We can go ahead and move them into position. Feet down like so. Legs out when they're out. Click the tail fins down like so. Now I'm going to open this up, and his head kind of gets in the way of the nose cone folding in. So when I'm transforming him to or from, I like to fold the nose cone down when it's halfway transformed, and then flip the rest of the chest over. And in an added detail, you have to actually flip the horns up on him. So he actually has a extra step compared to Starscream. Get all this moved like so. All that out of the way, we have our Jetfire in his new robot mode. First impressions in this mode, you can definitely see the residual Starscream in the design. They couldn't unmold all of it now, could they? But they did a decent enough job of getting Jetfire's traditional details in there. Now, on the transformation, I will tell you, this is based on the Legends class Starscream, the more recent, larger one that came with the Waspinator, and wouldn't it be strange if they upsized that for this release too? But hey, we got the core figure, and that's really what we were interested in the first place, except for us who really want more Waspinators. So we look at the robot mode head, and we find that it is very much based on the original G1 Toys sculpt, rather than trying to go for a Skyfire in the cartoon. I always kind of like that it's something of a coin flip of which version of that face you're going to get. They never can really decide if they want Jetfire or Skyfire. But hey, whatever. It is what it is. This is definitely a traditional Jetfire head. Very squashed in the details, but everything I need is mostly there, so we're not going to give it too hard of a time. So, like I said, he is very much Starscream still in this mode. Things like the different shape of the wings and lack of some of the traditional details, or at the very least, the alterings of them, do keep him from being too close, and I think most of it is done in the paint job to make him look different, but you can still see some vestiges of the traditional Seeker design in him. He does have some remolded chest details, which again, lots of different details going on here for the remold itself. A lot more attention than I expected them to give, which is quite cool. I like the condensed version of the Jet Mode's chest here the Jet Mode's front section to create the chest with a lot more heavily sculpted areas. The arms are pretty much the same as Starscream's, as are the legs, so that's where you start seeing a lot more of the part reusage. Luckily, they are cast in different colors of plastic, so you do have a different appearance when you see them side by side. Also, as opposed to Starscream having those weird black legs, Jetfires are properly red, painted over in white, just so the red looks like a little bit of hit of detail. Though I believe, if I look right, yeah, the red is actually the molded part. It's always a little bit strange how they decide what gets molded in what color for these things. I'm not sure that's worth repainting that much of the area just to... I don't know. It seems... I don't know. I don't know how toy budgets work to where heavy areas of paint somehow lend themselves to cheaper production. Build-wise, again, like most of these toys, he's pretty solid. Like, there's no real concern letting a 6-year-old play with this thing, which is the intention. Though a lot of the joints, you can tell, are a little bit cheaper. He doesn't have proper hinges. He has little clips on this bar rather than a pin. He does have pinned-in shoulders, and they do have a faux ratcheting to them, so you do have some solid playability here, as well as a little bit of detent and ratchet noise in the hips. Sounds like a socket wrench. And also, I will say that one of the problems I had on Starscream was how loose his ankles were, causing him to tip forward a little bit. These are much tighter, so good job there. He also has, he has the guns if you want added playability. Bad news about the guns. I don't know what it is, but he doesn't really want to hold them straight in his hand. They kind of come at curves, and I keep dropping that stupid gun on the floor, so screw it. Yeah, it's not my fault. It's the gun's fault. The gun clearly doesn't want to be part of the review. So he can't really hold the guns properly forward, which is unfortunate. He does still have the mounting point here on his shoulder if you want to Seeker him. You can see he's got ports on the back where you can still mount them on the wings if you want that. What I wish is that these pieces would actually be able to peg in, but unfortunately they're too small. They're actually designed for the wings to find little points where the wings can settle in and peg into place. They're not too tight. They just give you an idea of where the wings should settle. And again, the toy is giving you different widths that you can display the wings at and still have it lock in solidly. That's a nice little touch. They're very attentive. Articulation-wise, well, we have the head. It's the same articulation from Starscream, but we'll go ahead and show it off anyway. Head rotates, universal shoulders thanks to a swivel and a hinge, elbows that go beyond 90 degrees. Always a good thing, and they are done in those little clips, but they hold up well enough. We saw the universal hips in action. Nothing at the knees, unfortunately, which is just seems to be the common thing. For some reason, I guess the reason your toys are so expensive for their size is because they have to have knees, because as long as they have no knees, they can be made as big as they want. Apparently, that's how it works. I don't know. So, this is Cyber Battalion Jetfire. He's not bad. Like Starscream, he's not the best in the line, but he's not the worst either. He does a decent enough job of representing the Autobots' big carrier jet. It's fine enough. I think this is something best left to completionists of the line if you want to have everything going on in the toy line. But even then, he's pretty much the same story as Starscream. There's not a whole lot of new ground to cover here. He's decent enough for what he is, but considering the premiums these things go for online, this one is one you can afford to do it without.